Welcome to the Run to Remember Challenge Coaches Box. I'm Amanda Reeves, your host, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Andy Miller, the co-founder and CEO of Heaps Normal. Andy is on a mission to change drinking culture through Heaps Normal, a non-alcoholic beer brand that's redefining mindful drinking and sparking meaningful conversations. To all our listeners, let's raise a toast, with Heaps Normal, of course, to make meaningful change one step and one story at a time. Hi, Andy. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, Amanda, it's a pleasure.
Whereabouts in the world are you at the moment?
I'm in Bangkok, which feels fitting.
Yeah,
I live here, but also know that Pete's here on his run. Maybe I'll get a chance to cheer him on in person.
exactly. Maybe you'll pass or cross somewhere on the road somewhere. But thanks so much for joining us. And I'd really love to hear a little bit about the brand of Heaps Normal, the alignment with Thailand, and a lot of bits and pieces I want to delve into today. But, you know, it's such an inspiring brand. It's very unique. Can you tell me a little bit about the story of how it came to be created and what the purpose is behind it?
Yeah. So Benny, Pete, and I, who were all mates and started this brand together, we all wanted to cut back on our alcohol consumption, but we didn't see sobriety necessarily as the end goal. And so we wanted to create something that helped us cut back, and that did so in a way that was exciting and playful, and not preaching. Not preaching the same outcome for everyone, or everyone's should be on this same path. Just acknowledging that we all have our own reasons for wanting to cut back, and we all have our own ways of getting to that place as well. So we just want to make it fun, and we want to be part of the party, rather than trying to tell people what they should or shouldn't do.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at all your socials and your website, the brand has become really cool. It's really something that's become a bit of a movement and something that's challenged that Aussie drinking culture of the next generation in particular. How do you balance the coolness of something that's been seen as in the past not so cool?
Oh, it's a good question. I think we just try to have fun with it, and that's sort of part of I think making sure that we're not preaching. We try to let the product speak for itself, and we put a lot more of our energy into just talking about the other things that really energize us, and that we find really fun or entertaining. And so I think, yeah, definitely, if people are sort of resonating with that and finding personal relevance, then I think that's cool for me. I feel like people being able to personally relate to what we're doing, that's the ultimate goal. And so, yeah, I think we just try and enable that by making sure that we're having fun in the process.
Yeah, and that shines through. I think that's something that, you know, Hans is really passionate about, these shared experiences and bringing people together, and I think that funness of the brand really speaks to that and makes it really approachable. And I know that there's a lot of athletes have really taken it on board. You know, there's a lot of factors as to people's why they're embracing non-alcoholic or low alcoholic beverages, in particular beer. And I know for our founder, Peter Baines is a huge personal fan, has been drinking it for a while. He's been training for 2 years, so it's definitely a 2-year commitment. But he's currently undertaking the Run to Remember, which is 1,400 kilometers in 26 days through Thailand. And I'm sure you can relate to the heat and humidity that he's going to be experiencing. But a huge fan of the brand, and a lot of athletes are. You know, how did that sort of play into your marketing strategy or embracing that community of people?
Well, first of all, kudos to Pete. I struggle to run 5K here in Bangkok. So superhuman effort, what he's doing. And yeah, I take my hat off to him. I think there are a lot of occasions that we've recognized, where non-alcoholic beer and Heaps Normal alongside that, can fit into people's lives. And we see ourselves as part of this broader wellness movement and, better for you products. And so, yeah, I think that means naturally that there is, I think, there's a natural alignment with athletes, at all levels. So yeah, we haven't necessarily specifically gone after that audience, but I think they've found us, for some of those reasons that I just outlined, and we love that. I think one of our founders, who I didn't mention earlier, is also a pro surfer, Geordie Smith. So there's definitely a connection to that world, and some of our other investors actually, some of Australia's best athletes, from all different codes. So yeah, we've got a natural kind of connection and an authentic connection with that world, from a product point of view and from a brand point of view. But we haven't necessarily specifically gone after that. I think, Heaps Normal is one of these brands and products that, I think, people can, take like, can latch on to the bits that really speak to them, and it doesn't necessarily have to be targeted to one specific kind of group of people at the expense of others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I think what the athletes, particularly Pete, draws to is the mental clarity and the resilience of doing something like these endurance feats that, you really can't afford to be sluggish that next morning, and anything to deter you putting on those runners and getting out there. So, I know there's a lot of mental clarity, resilience factors, and that goes in the office as well. I've started running with Pete through the run, and I'm not a runner, and waking up in the morning going, oh, it's a bit achy and a bit sore, or having a really full-on work day, you really want to be sharp. And there's moments there where people are reaching for those options to keep that aspect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there's nothing wrong with having a couple of drinks if that's what you want to do to socialize, or you enjoy the taste, or for whatever reason. But I think, what I've sort of personally started to reflect on is the trade-off. Beyond that, it's a choice. You're trading off this moment for another moment, or and so I think really that's where I think the non-preachiness comes into it. It's not this is the right way and this is the wrong way. It's more, I guess, a question of, well, what's important to you, and that's a genuine question. Is staying out a bit later, enjoying those drinks with your friends, the important thing for you, or are there other things and at other moments that you don't want to trade off for that one, and yeah, it's just I think can you balance those things? I think they're the questions that I've been asking myself over the last couple of years.
Absolutely. And I think, it's not about no alcohol at all. It's picking and choosing your moments. And I think, as a dad and myself as having a 4-year-old, you definitely have to pick your moments when you're going to indulge and when you're going to enjoy something. But having options available to you is ultimately what the choice is. But, you talk a lot about mindful drinking at Heaps Normal. So is that what you mean, Andy, by mindful drinking? Heaps Normal talks about mindful drinking. Is it really about that choice option and picking your moments?
Yeah, I think for us, it's really just about making deliberate choices, whatever they are, whether it's, wanting to go out for a rager, or, whether it's, whether it's not drinking at all, just being deliberate and understanding, for yourself, like what's driving those decisions and what you're trading off.
Yeah, it's definitely getting a lot of traction in the younger community, but in lifestyle choices as a whole, I think we're seeing a lot of holistic changes in the way that we view things, whether it's fitness, whether it's lifestyle. But I saw some stats yesterday that talks about the rapid growth in this in the global market of non-alcoholic beverages, and that it's set to surge in 2025, seeing the rise of NOLO, the non-alcoholic, low alcoholic movement. And they're looking at, in the top 10 markets in the world, that they're looking at an average increase of 6% annually up to 2027. That's a pretty big jump annually. How do you balance sort of the mission and rapid growth in that area?
Yeah, good question. We're less focused on growing as quickly as we can. That might sound strange, but for us, it's a lot more important for us to be growing in a way that is at the speed that our community and our brand, can sustain, and that those things, allow us, to grow at, while maintaining a really authentic connection to what energizes us. And so I think we're really encouraged by looking at by those stats, and we're aware of them, that globally this isn't a trend that's going away. This is definitely a big shift in consumer behavior and drinking cultures globally, and that's going to continue to happen in more and more parts of the world and in different cultures, I think. And I think that just gives us kind of energy to just keep going the way we're going. I think it doesn't necessarily dictate for us how fast we need to grow. I think we're doing really well. We're happy with where we're at, and we just want to make sure that we're enjoying the journey as much as anything. It's for us. There's we just are so grateful to have the opportunity to have the audience that we have for our brand and for our product, and we don't take that for granted. And we just love turning up for work every day and being able to kind of do something that fills our cup, but also is just super fun as well.
Absolutely. Everybody I've connected with at Heaps Normal is just so passionate and engaged in what they do and how they do, but they're so approachable, and there is that really authenticness in the people that you have around you. But you said, what really excites you and the team, what excites you personally to keep creating or to keep developing or being relevant? What excites you and gets you out of bed in the morning?
Just the chance to have to play, to engage in play at work, with this exciting group of people that we have as part of our team, to come up with, the way that we're going to, release a new product, or, how we're going to find our people in a totally new territory like Thailand or the US. That's really energizing for me. And in that sense, like, it's really, the way I think about it, at least, is less about, how do we sell more cans in these territories, and more about how do we find our people in these places. How do we find our people in Australia who haven't, may not have discovered Heaps Normal yet, and equally in somewhere completely new like Thailand or the US. How do we find our people there as well? And that's a really interesting challenge, but also one that really excites me, and allows me as well along the way to try and do something else that I find really interesting, which is to understand what drives culture and what drives different cultures, and how do they form, and how do they think differently, and what motivates them, and really just kind of, I guess, being a student of human behavior as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love relationships. I love people, and it really underpins everything we do. And if you're making these genuine connections and being really curious into their culture or their lifestyle, it bridges forward. And that's really exciting. And you do keep people at the forefront, whether they're your customers or your employees, as a real people focus. But congratulations, not just on the people factor, but B Corp certification. That's a huge achievement. How do you're not only focused on the people, but on sustainability? What does that mean to Heaps Normal from a sustainability perspective?
Yeah, well, B Corp was such a huge mountain for us to climb as a small business.
It is. It's a massive feat. I've been through the process with previous businesses, and it is. There's a lot of work that goes into it, and a lot of things that you need to achieve. It's a big deal.
Yeah, but it was something that we set our sights on, from day one, of starting the business. So we always knew that B Corp was a goal for us that we wanted to achieve. And for anyone who's not familiar, you can't be a B Corp on day one. You have to have 2 years worth of trading on your books until you can even, go and be assessed. Or sorry, before you can reach certification. So, we just built that into the way we built the business. We just embedded that in how we built the business from day one. And so we built a B Corp business from day one, knowing that certification was something that we wanted, that was really important to us, and something that we think is really important to like our audience as well. But I think it's also just, when we think about accountability, it's a way that we can hold ourselves to account. That's the most important thing for us. This isn't sort of for us about necessarily a badge, to try and hold other people to account. This is just, that accountability is internal, and it's a way of us making sure that we're on track for the kind of business that we want to be, and that we think is going to be ultimately having a net positive impact on the world that we operate in.
I love that. And it just encompasses your whole holistic approach to business. And, people is everything, but having that brand identity from the beginning and the get-go around, being that sustainable business for people, the environment, and every factor. And, Heaps Normal's got the tagline, "Tell better stories." And I'm sure that Pete's going to come back from this run with a million stories to tell, which we can't wait to hear all about, but he's got to go through the journey first. What sort of does it mean to you by telling better stories? Is that everybody's unique story? Is it reflected in the work that you do?
Yeah, I think for me, it comes back to thinking about, when we tell stories, we tell stories for all different kinds of reasons, but often, it's about, even not if we're not thinking literally about sitting down and listening to someone tell a story. I think the stories that we tell show up in what we celebrate, what we grieve, what we pass on, to our peers and to other people, what we find worthy of passing on. Like that's, to me, like that's storytelling. And so in that sense, what we determine as a culture, as normal, that shows up in the stories that we tell, or the behavior that we perpetuate, or the behavior that we celebrate. And so telling better stories, I think, coming back to being deliberate about that, and sharing stories that you really do kind of think represent these things that you want to see passed on and living on, and being perpetuated. That's how we see it. And so we share the stories, or even, light doesn't always have to be really heavy. We share really lighthearted stories and humor, and we try to entertain in a lot of our work. But in doing so, we're always considering, what's the message that we're trying to send here? What's the message that we're asking people to internalize, and therefore, pass on and become, hopefully, if it's a message that resonates, part of the culture that we want to create versus, you know, necessarily just perpetuating, you know, what yeah, the current state of affairs.
Yeah, I think that that meaningful story can be so impactful, and you know the reason for the Run to Remember is to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the Boxing Day tsunami that affected Thailand. And what took Peter Baines to Thailand was to lead the body identification process. It was hugely impactful on his life, and hence created Hands Across the Water, creating lots of stories. And you know being able to, for us to tell the children's stories, and their goals and dreams for the future, and what impact that we can have in creating those for them, is something that's at the heart of what we do here. And you're in Thailand now. You've been there, I think you said, Annie, about 3 years. What took
Yes.
you to Thailand? What's your experience with Thailand? What sort of stories have you got to tell us about your time there?
Well, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You know, the best stories are, you know, personal stories. You know, like Peter's, you know, that inspired his trip and the charity. Um, you know, my kind of story of Thailand. It's a good question. I in some ways I feel like um, um, yeah, I mean, I came really with a really open mind, with to Thailand around, you know, what my experience would be like. It was a really interesting time for me personally. You know, we were, you know, just around a year into Heaps Normal, and also a year into the life of our second child. So there was a lot that was new for me, and so then adding a new country and a new culture and a new language to that was, yeah, it was for me, it was like a bit time of really significant change. And you know, for my partner, a new job at the same time. So yeah, there was um,
It's a lot of challenges all at once.
a lot going on, and I think for me uh, like that's just like Thailand has sort of has been the canvas for this, you know, journey of getting comfortable with change and with newness, and just embracing that, and not holding on too much to the expectations that I've had for me personally, or that I've had for, you know, for this experience of living here for the last few years, or you know, or anything like that, anything in between. Yeah, I think I haven't always succeeded. I think, you know, there's been a lot of moments where, you know, there's been you know, things haven't gone as I expected, and I've felt, you know, that has been very frustrating, or um, um, well, sometimes, you know, things have gone better and it's been great, but yeah, definitely, you know, haven't always succeeded in, you know, having this kind of go with the flow kind of approach. But I think, you know, feeling that rather than just sort of thinking about it intellectually as to, you know, yeah, this is a great goal, you know, for me to be able to, for me to not hold on to these expectations too tightly, and to look for the opportunity in, you know, both good and bad situations. Yeah, it's helped me feel that, and therefore kind of, I think, try to kind of move further towards this goal of, you know, of yeah, not holding on to those things too tightly.
Yeah, I think that's the trick, isn't it? And I think, you know, as a new parent, new country, new business, there's a lot of challenges that you're throwing on the family as a family unit, and then trying to support your wife in a new country, in a new role. You know, there's a lot of factors and emotions at play, particularly with little children. sleep deprivation, like it's next level.
Yeah.
Do you think, are you kind of a go with the flow kind of guy, or are you normally like a control, organized, plan, list maker?
I think it depends on who you talk to. If you spoke to my wife, I think she would say that I'm very go with the flow. If you spoke to our team, maybe they'd sort of see me as somebody that's a little bit more kind of goal orientated and pushing towards that goal. But I think maybe to share a sort of specific story of this sort of time that I've been here, that relates to what I was saying. I think we came to Thailand with this expectation that me being here would allow us to expand Heaps Normal into Thailand fairly easily and quickly. And I think as we were as we sort of got into that, we realized just how challenging and difficult that is, and how much we didn't know, that we didn't know. And so what we thought would be kind of this kind of opportunity to come and build a new market quite quickly over 3 years has actually resulted in us getting distribution in Thailand the week before I'm due to leave. So
At least you're leaving on a positive. Job done.
Exactly. But I think in between those sort of two moments in time, I think there's been a lot of lessons around perseverance and choosing the right people on that journey to go on that journey with us. The partners that we're sort of working with in the Thai market, and also but also at the same time, like persisting, but being able to adapt and flex to the challenges that we didn't expect, and shift our expectations at the same time. I guess kind of that phrase comes to mind of being staunch on the vision and flexible on the details. And I think that's the story for us in Thailand over the last few years. It's I think that's sort of what we've managed to do.
Yeah, I think that's a challenge for us always, as well as an Australian charity supporting the children in Thailand, and making sure we've got that brand awareness in Australia, but also in Thailand. And it is always a challenge, and you're always adapting your approach or your relationship. And it's always a journey. It's not just about the destination, as you said. And it's really interesting, the things that you learn about yourself and the business along the way. So currently Heaps Normal is available in Thailand. How do people go and find it? How does Pete run off the track and find himself a Heaps Normal?
We're stocked with a Whole Foods retailer here called Paleo Robbie. They deliver all over Thailand and have an amazing range of better for you snacks and food and beverages, and grocery items, and kind of meals as well, that they've pulled together as part of their range. So it's not just paleo, but it started out as a paleo business. And yeah, it's a really amazing business, and a really influential retailer, I think, in Thailand. And I think they're really kind of at the forefront of I think retail trends, and where a lot of the other retailers a signal of where there's a lot of the other retailers in Thailand are going to be going in the coming years.
Yeah, really interesting. And have you managed to do much travel through Thailand? I know you're based in Bangkok. Have you gotten out? Have you gotten rural with the kids?
Yeah, we've been to Kanchanaburi and up to Chiang Mai, and yeah, out to some of the islands. It's such an incredible country to explore. Surprisingly easy to get off the beaten track, if that's your goal. But also, feels like the kind of place where you can have whatever experience you're looking for. You can go and kind of sit on a beach and enjoy kind of umbrella drinks, or you can you can go and get up in the mountains and into feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, just it's such an interesting culture. It's probably stating the obvious as well, but I think we only get a really small snapshot of Thai culture in Australia, and I think that's for lots of reasons. That's a part of Thai culture that a lot of people have fallen in love with, and just feel really drawn to, and that's what brings them to Thailand. But then I think the opportunity here is to discover so many other parts of the food and the culture, and even yeah, and the people, obviously, who it's so much more than sort of what we're exposed to in Australia.
Absolutely. I think Australians have known it for a long time as that beach, beautiful holiday destination. But, talking to a lot of people through this experience and how far Thailand has come in the food space, you picture these beautiful street markets and these really vibrant city cultures. And then you hear that they're making cheese, and there's wineries, and there's Michelin star restaurants, and there's such extremes in the food space, and there's everything that you can imagine. And that's something that just really encourages us in providing choices for the children of Hands. We have a really audacious goal of raising $1 million through Pete's Run to Remember. And that's going to fund some new projects for us. We've already put 40 children through university, and obviously education and health and homes is number one, but giving them some opportunities of life of choice moving forward. We've got plans to create a hospitality training school, an agricultural school, and a digital learning centre to give these kids a life of choice. So every dollar raised through this is about creating those opportunities for the Thai children of Hands, but also for the communities. And that's really important to Hands is keeping the kids in their communities and embracing the local communities in what we do. We also have Hands Experiences Thailand, a tour business based down in the Khao Lak area. So if you're at a hotel with your family and you want to do a bike ride, that all the profits go back to Hands Across the Water, and you can see the beautiful sights of the Phang Nga region and visit the elephant sanctuaries in Old Town, and changing travel a little bit to be more meaningful and to be more mindful of what we experience and what we show our families and children. But ways we're supporting this is we've got the Run to Remember Challenge, which is what these coaches boxes are all about. Everybody challenging themselves to run their own kilometre. We can sponsor one of Pete's kilometres for $50. And then you go into the draw to win one of two $5,000 cash prizes, which will come in very handy at the end of the year, I'm sure, for a lot of people. Or we can make donations to Pete directly. Every dollar counts. Everything helps us to get to that $1 million target. And we really appreciate your support. But coming from listeners to this episode today, anyone who's participating in this challenge or learning about mindful drinking for the first time, or the Run to Remember for the first time, what's your message to people on what does that mean to you?
I think what comes up for me is just what's possible when we come together around a great idea, and I think the other thing is some of the great things that can come from really bad situations, really awful kind of events. I think, and Hands Across the Water is one of those great things, that came out of what was a terrible tragedy for a lot of people, but is now this organization and this movement that is doing good for people and bringing people together ongoing. And so, yeah, I think that's really that's how I choose to look at it. And I think I hope that we can be operating in a similar way, you know, in our own category when it comes to changing drinking culture. Yeah, trying to find the good, like in sometimes really horrific and terrible situations, and find the opportunity for how we move forward. And I think that's, you know, I think that's inherently what makes us human, and the most, like, the essence of our humanity for me, and something that I try and remind myself of whenever I can. So yeah, it's a really great reminder for me to see the work that you're doing, and that Pete's doing. So yeah, thanks for the opportunity to be a very small part of that.
Oh, we really appreciate your time, Andy. And for those in Australia, if you want to jump on Hands Across the Water's website, it's handsacrossthewater.org.au. How do we find Heaps Normal products, websites, and also in Thailand?
You can check us out at heapsnormal.com, or you can find us at your favorite local bar, restaurant, or bottle shop.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time today, Andy. We appreciate the support.
Thanks so much, Amanda. Pleasure.
Bye.